Major spoilers incoming, so if you don't want to get spoiled, click off the video now. Dragons Rising Season 3 Part 1 came out, and there's a reason it took me this long to make my review. I went to Dollywood literally 2 days after it came out, so I had to process everything that happened while I plummeted down the Tennessee tornado. So what did I think of it? Short answer, it was good, but it did not live up to the hype. I really thought I would enjoy watching this part a lot more, but I finished it feeling a little unsatisfied and seeing a lot of missed potential. But let's get some things out of the way first. I was spoiled for 2 things. Shirtless Zane not being canon, and the scene where Zane called Pixal attractive. Now, okay, I am pissed that shirtless Zane was not canon. I fell for the Zane propaganda again, and I couldn't propaganda at them zitties. This is awful. That was like half my hype for this season, and they lied to me. I was supposed to see him flaunting his hardware. Okay, that sounds very wrong. I feel hurt. I feel personally attacked. I feel victimized. I don't know. And no, I don't think he will be shirtless in part 2. There has to be at least one non-canon suit in each wave, and both of Zane's suits didn't show up. Yeah, Stormsuit Zane was in the intro, but that's to cover up the fact that he gets swole for buffness.
I got swole for buffness.
Put him down! No, Christian!
Amusing.
Amusing. I should have seen you shirtless! But no! I was robbed of that! Like the great Zane robbery. Let's get into the review of this part, and I did record my reactions, so I'll sprinkle that throughout the video.
I had a pretty interesting day.
Are you sure?
It was the same structure as the last 2 seasons. We gotta gather these things to make sure something bad doesn't happen. Plot, you know. Truthfully, I was only invested in Aaron and Roz's plot because it was the only one where the story went forward and what I actually think is the best part of Season 3 Part 1. We learned some pretty interesting information about what Roz's plan is, and during their travels, we get to see Moro, which is amazing. He says that the Departed Realm and Cursed Realm were merged into one thing called the Spectral Lands, where Moro gave himself the task to help souls cross over into eternal rest. Which, good on you, Moro. I would love for you to take me to heaven. I thought the Bounty Hunter Jay side plot was kind of fun to watch because Zeatrix literally hires him to bring Roz to her alive. Probably to kill him herself because literally everyone wants this guy's obituary to be posted early. And Jay does this bounty stuff without using his powers. Instead, he uses these cool little Jay-themed thingamabobs like lightning daggers, wings, Fallout 4 T60 power armor. I wish we saw how Jay got his little gadgets and doodads. Maybe they came from some illegal tech from the administration, or he built them himself. Kai and Nia finding Jay, I was actually a little disappointed with. Don't get me wrong, I loved the Kai and Nia banter, since that's a staple for them as siblings, and I did laugh at some of Kai's lines.
My brother here and I...
If his high score is broken, he'll feel it, and he'll come.
But I thought Kai would take things a little more seriously at first, considering how distraught Nia was over Jay during this whole part. The end of Season 2, Kai is like, oh yeah, we're gonna find your husband and knock some sense into him. But then you cut to Season 3, and he's burning rock people alive and doing ASMR. Season 3 didn't exactly give them a lead into where Jay could be after the Jay boot sector virus. And then they just paused looking for Jay to go save the world, which is okay, valid, but I thought they would have found Jay before Thunder Thing was released. And it doesn't help that we, as the audience, know where Jay is. I don't know, I feel like there was a lot of missed opportunity with it. Like a Kai and Nia featuring Wildfire versus Jay fight would have been amazing to see, since Kai most likely wouldn't hold back. Because as we all know, baking the body at 350 for 10 minutes cures memory loss. Lloyd, Sora, Frak, and Zane looking for Aaron kind of goes just as good as you think it does. Dorama's puppet shows up out of nowhere, Zane gets freaking lost, and everyone falls off a cliff and nearly dies. We do get some Oni mentions, but other than that, they wander around the first land with a prismatic blade aimlessly until Zart shows up and causes a little tussle, and Pixal comes out of nowhere and beats the ever-loving character growth out of him. Cole's plotline quite literally goes nowhere. He's in episode 1, and then we don't get to see him until episode 10. Not even kidding. Zane and Pixal are getting their own section in this video. I'm sorry, I have a whole hemisphere of my brain reserved for them, so if you don't care about the rest of the review and just want to jump straight into the Zane rant, go to this timestamp. Cole does nothing and I'm pissed about that, and I think I know why. It is most likely because he has been trying secretly to perfect his Shadow Clone Jutsu. I wish we got to see some of that training on screen, but we were cut for time, I guess. We had to give all that screen time to Zart. Lloyd also barely does anything and isn't as involved in Aaron's conflict as I thought he was going to be. Lloyd is still trying to wrap his head around the fact that Wu caused the merge, and it appears to cloud his judgment when he tries to reconcile with Aaron, saying Wu had a good reason for doing it. A problem I have with Lloyd in this part is there is no visions, no continuation of his master arc, which was a massive deal for like all of Dragon's Rising, and it's just not here. Yeah, falling back on Lloyd's visions to jumpstart the story isn't ideal, but Lloyd could have had some more things to do in the plot other than getting sucked by Thunderfang. Okay, that came out wrong. Now, what I also noticed is that Lloyd seems a lot less tense and a lot less paranoid this time around, so at least he got a tiny break from the horrors, but I don't know, I wish he did a little bit more. Nia was pretty good in this part, and I think she's gonna have a lot more stuff to do in the next part. I liked her flashback with Jay, and gosh, every time that little chime and flute starts to play, I know I'm about to see the most adorable interaction between her and Jay. I'm really interested to see what's gonna happen with her in part 2. Kai was fun, and like I mentioned previously, he really made me laugh with some of the stuff he was saying. I really do like this silly goofy Kai. He was not really as annoying as he was in the Wild Brain era, but like I said, I was hoping he would take the whole finding my amnesia-stricken brother-in-law a little more seriously at first. However, he was still a joy to watch anyway. Jay was fantastic in this part, and I think he was handled extremely well in setting up for the next installment of episodes, because he is definitely going to play a huge role in that. Him suddenly becoming a freaking bounty hunter was something I would have never guessed, and it just works somehow. Only thing I didn't quite like was the voice changer.
I never fail.
Ew, what the? Frak was someone I wasn't expecting to fall in love with Sora. It came out of nowhere, and I feel like it's an industry plant ship. But I'm glad it wasn't the only thing that was focused on with Frak, because I low-key hate the unrequited love trope. I think he was good, and I'm glad that he joined the team, but I hoped he interacted with Cole a little bit more, but overall he was alright. Sora I didn't like in the first 2 episodes for how snobby she was being towards Frak, and I was getting tired of it, but after that she gets better. Her flashback with how her and Aaron met really made me happy to see how their friendship blossomed into what it is now, but I really didn't think there was gonna be child trafficking in Dragon's Rising, but here we are, seeing Sora being sent to the mines.
I yearned for the mines.
Sora jumping to save Aaron and give him a hug while they dangle from a tree, maybe just oh my. Her joining Aaron and Roz was kind of unexpected, but she did it to be with Aaron and not because of Roz. Speaking of Aaron, gosh, he was like the best character in this whole part. Everything from his inner conflict with his morals and ideals when Roz is training him, I just love. He never forgets who he is and his kindness. I was hoping that he wouldn't do a full 180 on his character and just become a dark, brooding, angsty teenager out of nowhere, all because he left the ninja, but I'm glad that didn't happen. But he said himself that he is a stronger ninja than he ever was because of Roz's teachings, from channeling his hatred for Wu causing the merge that ended up killing his parents. Maybe. Aaron was just so good, and I am interested to see what he has in store for the next part. Moro was freaking awesome, and I am so happy that he was a little involved with giving Aaron some wisdom about masters. Him mentioning that he feels the pull to cross over into eternal rest, but he chooses not to give in so he can protect other souls from soul suckers made me almost cry. I am so happy what they ended up doing with him. He didn't feel like he was put in the story just for fan service. He felt organic and real. And then he gets eaten by Thunderfang. Wildfire was fun, as always, but she spends like half her screen time with her dying, rotting boyfriend and argues with C-3POs on basic medical practices. That's so Wildfire core. As for the bad guys, y'all, the Forbidden Five sucked. Drix was single-handedly the only reason the Five even got the last of the blades, and having his elemental power be a Risk of Rain 2 reference is pretty cool in my opinion. He uses his powers very well in the few instances it was shown, like him having a gaping hole in his chest being made of bugs just made my skin crawl, like ugh. Noct and Rox were cool, but I genuinely cannot recall Rox ever using her elemental power of fear. Someone can correct me in the comments. I might be getting that J amnesia. I thought Noct was pretty okay with the fight scenes with Zane and Pixal. I mean, you kind of have to be if you are the elemental master beat you to death, but other than that, he doesn't do too much. Kerr, I thought was going to be a fan favorite and had the best elemental power, because you could literally rot someone alive, but all the stakes for Roby slowly becoming a Yuka root just go away after Wildfire uses her power to heal him, and it erases all the suspense and fear of getting hit by Kerr. Now obviously if you are a normal dude and don't have a Elemental Master girlfriend, yeah, you're gonna wither away and die. But still, Kerr could have done so much more damage. Zarked. Holy crap, no wonder he wears a lampshade over his head. It's the cone of shame. He got mocked by Pixal and literally does nothing but get disrespected by the ninja. His elemental power is crap with what we were shown. I wanted someone to get hit by his power and see what happens to them. Like when he shoots you, do you just become paralyzed? All your chromosomes disappear? You lose everything you ever owned? Your wife is cheating on you? I don't know. Just, like, do something interesting with that. That's, like, a whole thing. It's a stupid way. Seriously, it was such a wasted element on a guy with the worst fashion sense ever. And then the Forbidden Five just straight up die. It feels in the 3 scenes we saw all 5 of them together that they absolutely hate each other. There was no chemistry at all, and it feels like Thunderfang picked them all out because they didn't raise their hands when it was time for the evil group project, and they were forced to work together. Even Rox and Noct, who are siblings, don't even feel like they are. If the show never said they were siblings, you would have not seen it at all. Thunderfang was alright, though. I can just see there's gonna be some art of this dragon. Like, people fear his lower body routine. He's got the body type of a Pixar mom. He obviously was going to portray the 5. I don't know why I theorized that he wasn't going to. He is obviously still pissed off at the Source Dragons denying his Indeed application, so valid crash out on the City of Temples, I guess. That job position probably went to the Archdragon of Focus. I wouldn't be surprised at all, but I'm going off topic. Thunderfang was okay. Zeatrix was there, but she only wants that frickin' slutty tiger gone. That slutty tiger in question, I absolutely loved. Roz is probably one of my top 5 favorite Ninjago villains because he has so much stuff going on, especially with him being from Chima, and all the mystery surrounding his background, his master, his clothing design, his manipulation tactics with some hint of truth behind them, and with his plan to reverse the merge. I want to see what that would look like because apparently you can do anything while reversing the merge, since you're going to be using every dragon icon to summon the Source Dragons, so what, it's gonna be like Shenron and the Dragon Balls? I would give this season like a 7 out of 10. There was stuff that could have happened, that didn't happen, that I wished happened. Here are some things that I didn't quite understand that went down, and y'all can correct me in the comments. First, how did Pixel and Zane figure out how to modify the prismatic blade they had that could locate the one that Aaron had? Yeah, it flapped up and down when they were close to it, but what aspect of the blade and the modification on it allowed that to happen? Does it take the essence of the prismatic blade and use it to locate the others? This would have further highlighted Pixel's expertise in technology and could have led to Sora complimenting her for how intricate the device is and have them talk. I don't think they ever talked to each other, really. Next, how did they make that satellite doohickey that could power up the portal gate? What power source did they use? Because it took a Source Dragon powered Lloyd to power the portal gate, and the energy requirements were stated by Zane himself to be rather large. And I highly doubt Zane powered it because he came close to dying powering the one in Prime Empire. There's no plugs on Zane suggesting that. It's just plugged into some arbitrary place in the underground part. I don't get it. What were they doing? Then Lloyd's plan was like low-key never explained, and it kind of like makes me a little confused. Another one is, how did Jay remotely beat Kai's high score in
Gallimorph X Post?
Did he just use remote desktop on a retro video game console? Is his love for the video game so great that he can transcend his consciousness into the console that Kai used to beat his high score and have them witness his expertise in the game to put salt on the wound? Is he that petty? Imagine you just speedran Minecraft and beat the world record, and as you're basking in your victory, someone takes control of your computer, logs out of your account and into theirs, and beats your world record by like 3 minutes. But that is just never explained. What would have made more sense if after they were done with basking in their victory, they look and see that the scoreboard has changed and Jay is now on top again. They should have done that or something. I don't know. But maybe they wanted to highlight the fact that it was Jay doing it because like no one else does those moves like him. I can't take it anymore. It's time to talk about First of all, screw the character description for Zane, that was just not real, misleading. More Zane propaganda at play there. And why is he even on the box art? Seriously, why? He didn't have a big role, and all he did was make a train stop in the middle of the desert. But let's gather our thoughts. We're gonna go over everything that happened, and we're gonna discuss our emotions, and our theories, and our thoughts, everything. We need... Zane has been struggling to find Aaron after the explosion, as well as trying to find the smartest and most attractive member of the team. I'm surprised he wasn't biting his lip and kicking his feet up in the air, giggling like a little schoolgirl while saying that. So after getting a pie exploded in his face, Zane goes, urethra! And figures out how to find Aaron through the chaos theory or whatever. So after they have a trail of Aaron, Zane says that his middle name would be Careful. No the heck it wouldn't. Don't gaslight yourself. Your full name is Zane Self-Sacrificial Julian. Zane splits off from everyone else with Xanth and ends up in the middle of bumfrick nowhere in the first land. This is where he tells Xanth not to dance with a bird. He says he used to do that too, but it's apparently considered weird. Now I'm very mixed on this scene. On one hand, I'm like, oh my gosh, Falcon reference in 2025. But on the other, slightly critical hand, is this Zane saying that his younger self's traits that made him unique and special were weird? Is he looking back on his younger self like how you would look at yourself when you were 6 and used to eat Play-Doh and glue? Because if that's the case, Zane has lost touch with one of the many things that made him unique and different. It wasn't just dancing with a frickin' bird, it was because he knows the Falcon was copying his movements, and him realizing there was something more with the Falcon. He literally said himself he felt a connection with it. They were in tune with each other because they were family. The whole Falcon thing showed Zane's intuitive nature and innocent curiosity in the early seasons, and was a fundamental part of what made Zane. But here Zane just dismisses it as weird. And what's even more insult to injury is the scene before this. Lloyd is like, Zane's much more than just a machine. And you cut to this scene where Zane is bashing his younger self. Not a good start to the Zane episode. Anyway, Zane finds a monastery and also Raptor and the freebooters hauling off his girlfriend. He doesn't know it's her, he just knows it's another egg. After smashing the door open because he doesn't realize his foot was the reason he couldn't open it, the doofus, he chases after the coolest train I've ever seen. He infiltrates it and plugs one pipe into the egg and it starts to open. Now compare this to Zane's, which had a billion more pipes. Kai and Mia had to weld some stuff. Wu shot himself into it, and it was on a nice little stand that could control the Imperium Monastery. Pixal's pod came from a green portal gate, which as far as I have looked into it, we haven't seen which realm the color green is tied to. Anyhow, Pixal wakes up and 5 years of depression and emotional blockage just get vaporized out of Zane once he lays his blue LEDs onto her. And I'll let my reaction tell you how I felt about this scene. This is what I needed to see. And this also proves the fact that Zane cannot be himself at all if Pixal isn't there. This man suddenly becomes goofy with acting out the new ninja and screeching like Ryu. And he tells her that the only reason he had ambition to keep going was because of her voice in his head telling him to. Zane, you are such a sweetie pie relying on the voices to keep you going. Oh my goodness! Here's the thing I noticed. Pixal was in his head for a long time. He was used to her being in his head and telling him what to do, to the point where once she left his head, he desperately tried contacting her and could not function at all without her. And it has now gotten to the point where just hearing her voice makes him come to his senses. When he's in a coma, it took Pixal talking to him to make him remember and wake up. It took imagining Pixal telling him to keep going that made Zane not off himself. That freaking broom. All of this leads to the conclusion that it's her voice. Without her voice, Zane cannot function. Without her herself, Zane cannot function because she is his other half. So it's no question that seeing her, Zane finally displays some emotion and more of his usual self again. But Pixal is confused why her boyfriend is suddenly yearnful. She's like, babe, we just saw each other this morning, what do you want about? And Zane has to explain to her it's been years since the incident. But Pixal just goes along with it because nothing surprises her at this point with how long she's been with the ninja. They beat the crap out of everyone while Zane tells her she's the only one who thinks like him. Even Pixal's like, geez, you are really emotional. Obviously, Zane is a very emotionally vulnerable person when it comes to Pixal, and he says it's been a long time for him. Yeah, he really missed her. And I'm gathering that Pixal doesn't fully grasp how bad 5 years without her has done to Zane. She's, again, kind of going along with everything that's been happening around them, beating up people with a plunger, you know? So they try to jump off the train, and Zane nearly gets his head punted clean off.
Careful would be my middle name.
They can't jump off the train because Nock comes in and wants the blade, so we gotta fight again. Which, by the way, this is the best fight scenes for Zane in Dragon's Rising. Like, he's actually fighting well. The Dragonians make the train... The Dragonians make the train speed up and they are about to crash, and wouldn't you know, Zane has to manually override it with his whole body. This was the worst part of the episode. Stop doing fake outs. Stop with the overused Zane death music. Stop with the forced emotion, because we all know he's going to be fine. Just stop. Want to know how Zane and Pixel possibly could have saved everyone? Here's how. Pixel stabs the controls repeatedly, destroying it so the train doesn't have any control and thus should stop floating or from speeding up anymore. Zane goes to the front of the train and uses his ice to make a raised platform under the train, and he uses that to guide the train away from the mountain. If he can't stop it in time, he can raise the platform so that it covers the whole train, or he can make an ice wall in front of the train to slow it down more and eventually stop. Something like that, instead of just having Zane shove his cord in places it doesn't belong in. Heaven forbid any of these ports on the controls weren't compatible with his brain cord. This scene just didn't need to happen. They could have thought of other ways to make the train stop so we could spare ourselves from the billionth Zane fake out. Like, goodness gracious, please. I have had enough of it. I'm done seeing him get damaged. What I wished happened was when Zane says he needs to override the controls manually, Pixel's like, you better not do this again or I swear. After the initial response Pixel had to all of this, Pixel scolds Zane. She just woke up after 5 years and is seeing her boyfriend trying to sacrifice himself again. She has every right to be upset and angry with him for being so reckless. So after insulting Rapton's hair, she goes over to Zane and while fixing him, she should have been like, you always do this, Zane. You throw yourself into danger without thinking what it does to the rest of us, what it does to me. And then she builds him into this. Big Zane is something that I was on the fence about because I was hoping it wasn't permanent, and seeing it in the show, I really couldn't grasp that it was Zane. It's such a drastic change and I feel like it was hard for me to adjust to it. Sure, it's Pixel's ideal body type for men, like tall, big pecs, strong arms, but we don't even get to see a montage or anything. Pixel says we aren't gonna lose each other and then boom, Zane shows up and beats up Dragonians. And we're supposed to just go along with it for the rest of this part. I would mention Giant Zane, but it's only there for when they were in the storm and never again. Jeez. Oh yeah, just hang on to his tits, because here we go. But yeah, no Stormsuit Zane because of that. Now, let's talk about Zane proposing. Now, I wish it was an actual proposal, but it was just Zane asking Pixel to explore the merged lands with him, which is honestly really sweet and cute, and like the scene's great, but that was a great time to say, hey, you want to be my wife and explore the merged lands with me? This is a honeymoon. This is legit a honeymoon. They're just going off on their honeymoon. And while I'm upset that Zane's gonna most likely leave the team after he does do this and they go off on whatever the frick, I feel like it's the best outcome for Zane, because guess what? He's gonna be alone with Pixel and they're gonna explore new things. I mean, Zane said himself, he enjoys learning new things, but he enjoys them a lot more when he shares it with Pixel, which is really sweet. I mean, Pixel was beaming the entire scene of him talking to her. Like, that's probably the happiest we've ever seen Pixel. She's all smiley, all giddy, because she wants to explore with him, which is amazing. This might lead to them learning about what happened to them in the pods, but until then, just knowing that Zane is out there living his best life on his honeymoon, just, you can't really be mad at that. I know some people would probably be like, hey, why are you writing Zane out of the plot now? I mean, he just got Pixel back. Why is he leaving now? But I feel like there's more in store to what Zane is going to be doing in Dragon's Rising. I don't think this is the end for him. He's obviously going to come back. Him and Pixel are going to do something interesting, and I think it's going to have to do something with the pods. I feel like it's going to happen in season 4 of Dragon's Rising. There's my thought on Zane's proposal. Again, I wish he proposed and actually said, hey, be my wife. But other than that, all of the Pixane scenes in this part were amazing. I was so happy to see them together. I was so happy to see them interact again, because they are my favorite Ninjago couple. I'm going to try to sum up everything now with Zane that I'm feeling. I wish he actually played a bigger role, because again, I was led to believe that Zane was gonna have some really big role in this season, and I was like, okay, yeah, just gotta wait until season 3, because everything's gonna be fixed with Zane in season 3, because guess what? He's on the box art, he has like 3 different forms, he has to have some sort of plot relevance, but he doesn't. After the Zane episode, Zane just doesn't doesn't do anything much. I was really thinking that this season 3 was going to be the big Zane fix, and now that it's not, obviously, I feel like that's going to be saved for season 4. But that was the biggest reason I was disappointed with part 1, and probably season 3 as a whole if Zane's gonna like leave the team. So it makes me upset to say that Zane hasn't really truly been fixed yet, but I'm still holding on to hope. Dragons Rising is, I think, gonna be 5 seasons, so he has until then to be fixed. I'm still excited for part 2. I have not seen anything with part 2 except one thing, but it wasn't really too much, but I'm still not gonna see anything else of part 2, so please don't comment anything about part 2 in the comments. I don't want to get spoiled. So that concludes my thoughts for season 3 part 1, but do let me know what you thought about this, if you agree or disagree with anything I said in this video. I'd like to hear about it. I do apologize for taking a long time to make this video. I think this is probably the longest video I've made on Ninjago to date, so I appreciate everyone being patient with me. A lot has been going on in my life, so I'm glad that I was able to make this video. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.